It's exciting to me to watch how this team's playing right now. If they can put together one big performance on a weekday or a weekend in January, they definitely have what it takes. Got the big notepad, Anthony. Watch out. We got notes, film notes, because I've watched almost the entirety of the tape from the game. I watched the entire offense. I got the first half of the defense down. I know the second half of the defense is even better, and I have some absolutely mind-blowing numbers to back that up. Did you know, Anthony Haney, that on the first 7 carries of Saquon Barkley's day on Sunday, he rushed in 7 carries for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns?
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
You probably knew that, though.
Yeah.
That's been floating around, and you watched the game. Did you know that on that 109 yards, that 99 of them came before contact?
God dang, nah.
They did not even touch him for 99 of those 109 yards. That changed from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
Carries 8 through whatever 8 through 29, I think was the final number, because he had 22 more.
Yep.
22 plus 7 is 29. Let me carry the 1. Yeah. Final 22 carries. He had 41 yards. Of those 41 yards, on those 22 carries, he had -4 yards before contact. That's because they hit him behind the line of scrimmage on 13 of 22 carries. 59%. And I know you can't just be like, well, ignore the first 7. But like a 22 carry stint in a competitive game is like a full game. That would have been one of the best performances of the season. Had they just been mediocre on those first 7 carries against Barkley, they were obviously far worse than mediocre. But I do think that there's some real hope there of, hey, against Bijan Robinson this weekend, where Michael Penix is not exactly a run threat like Jalen Hurts was. Plus, they made some changes. They started to bring a safety down into the box more. They started to play with a heavier box consistently. That when they decide we're going to stop the run, they can do it. And I think against Bijan, it's super important to make sure that he doesn't get started, because he is one of, there aren't a lot of backs in Saquon's ilk in terms of dangerous to score from anywhere. He's one of them. And so you can't let a 68-yarder up for the second week in a row. But if they can keep him in and turn Penix into a one-dimensional player in his second career start, his first against a real NFL defense, because with all due respect to the Giants, who played some decent ball earlier in the year defensively, wow, they are not good. I'm pretty excited to see what this team can be. And I'm not telling you that suddenly they're a Super Bowl favorite. We're going to do our NFL tiers later. I'm not telling you we should put them back in the prime contenders ilk, even though they're a 10-win team. They don't belong up there. They haven't been consistent enough. They haven't beaten enough good teams, whatever. But I think what we learned on Sunday, and as you watch the performance back, is 1, this team has multiple ways to win. And 2, their haymaker, if they land a couple big ones, is as heavy as anybody else's haymaker in the league. And I think that's what you saw. You see the absolute dynamite level that they can reach with the big plays, with Jayden, with Terry and Diami on the outside, all that stuff. And you see a defense that can lock it down for long, long stretches. And if those stretches come in the right order, you can really get a game flow that's pretty good. And they didn't even run the ball well at all on Saturday. They were a disaster. Or on Sunday, they were a disaster running the football. So if they can get that game going, look out. And there's definitely plenty of teams that are playoff bound in the NFC that I think they could have that kind of performance against.
Do you think the lack of our running game, literally the last 2 weeks, because against the Saints we struggle, and then also against the Eagles, do you think that's problematic as we, inch closer to the end of the season and ultimately the playoffs?
I'll tell you what, Anthony, it's not ideal.
No.
But 3 games ago, 4 weeks ago, Tennessee, they did rush for 250.
No, we did.
So I think that this week there was a lot of Jalen Carter problems. This week was a lot of Philly is really, really good at what they do. They're the number 1 defense in the league, and you found a way to score 36 points against them. And by not being like the world's most efficient offense either. Like they were not necessarily crushing it down in, down out. They had some problems in protection at times. Jayden missed some throws. Like he missed some reads. Like they could have. It's one of those games that you watch and like could have been even more explosive if he throws that one and hits that one and throws that, like little stuff. But like often, actually, I don't know how much more productive it really could have been outside of the turnovers, because there's some times where like he'll miss first down, dang it. Second down, let's run it, garbage. Third down, Jayden just hit a big old something. So his ability to overcome those bad situations was truly, truly special on Sunday. And that's what I mean by they have different ways to win. Because against the Saints, it was the exact opposite. They didn't hit any of their big plays. They generated them. Like Terry's running wide open 3 times in the fourth quarter. Jayden misses him on all 3. They didn't get any of their explosives. I don't even know what their longest play was against the Saints. I could probably look it up real quick, but we're running up against the clock. But I don't feel like they had a 25-yard gain against the Saints. Against the Eagles, a defense that has not given up a ton of big explosive plays this year because their pass rush is so good that their corners, like you can see their corners at times being like, shouldn't the rush be home by now? Why is this dude still running? Oh, God, Diami's running past me. Oh, God, Terry's running past me. And they're able to do it. So finding those multiple ways to win, seeing the success with the big explosive plays, I think is really exciting and important. But if they can get going on the ground, then they become a nightmare to defend. An absolute nightmare, because you just can't have bodies everywhere. I mean, that's the hard part about facing the Eagles. That became very much not hard when Kenny Pickett's in there. With Jaylen, you have to defend passing downfield, passing in the short areas, best running back arguably in the league, and a quarterback run game. You can't. There's no scheme that does that. Every scheme has its weakness. You're going to have to give up something, which is why most people are just like, I guess we'll try to make Jaylen beat us as a passer, but he's good enough that he can do that, especially when he has immense amounts of time. When the fact that he holds the ball forever isn't an issue because their O-line's so good. Kenny Pickett gets in there. Now it's like, we'll give you all day. Go ahead, throw it. You might throw it to us. And you see how instantly the script changes, and generating those big plays becomes harder, and they have to manufacture offense, and they're not able to do it in a sustainable way, and they can't score. They score field goals instead of touchdowns when they do move the ball, and that's enough to flip the outcome of a game. So it's exciting to me to watch how this team's playing right now. If they can put together one big performance on a weekday or a weekend in January, they definitely, I think, have what it takes. But how are you feeling after the Commanders' pre-Christmas miracle against the Eagles? 301-230-0980. 301-230-0980 is the phone number, and we're taking your calls on a Vibe Check Tuesday next.